Hi, welcome back to Phoenix Flight Manual. So today I'm going to be doing a collective reading for the Black Moon, dun, 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 31st of July. July has been huge for astrological wonders. But astrological events have been showing up really hard in July. And anyone who follows astrology, believes in that, you can't overlook how much has happened in July and questioned why. I've definitely questioned why. And when I've opened myself up to receiving the answer to that, it's much bigger than me or you or any one of us. There's a lot going on. There's huge shifts happening. I have to, and I've been doing this in person to everyone around me, but I have to here also heavily encourage you to, if you have not seen the film The Condor Flies North, please do see it. It has a lot of really important information in there and directly correlates for me to the astrological events of this year, the past several years, and July specifically. So the Black Moon, what we're talking about here is not super different to what we've been talking about in this eclipse corridor. The difference is we've been through the eclipse corridor now. So where we're at with this Black Moon energy coming in is post everything we went through in the eclipse corridor and everything that came through, everything that's left. This is a very powerful time to set your intentions for the future, to look within and to assess anything that is holding you back or getting in your way, self-imposed obstacles for your ultimate happiness and achievement of your divine purpose, your mission. So if you do not feel that you know what that is as of yet, don't let that get in the way of you planning for your ultimate happiness. Plan for that to be a part of it. And that's been a big part for me in moving forward, in really allowing myself to embrace the future that I want for myself, is when I find things that feel like they're in conflict. Well, I can't have this and have that. Well, why not? There's no reason. So allowing my vision to include everything that I want, and then with the knowledge that I don't have the awareness to know how that can all happen together. The how is much more the universe. The what is much more you. So with that premise, I'm going to be doing a collective reading. So this is, I'm going to be looking at getting guidance, calling in guidance for us all to utilize this energy in the most effective, beneficial way for us. So to start with, I'm going to use the Earth Magic Oracle deck. I love to use this deck to start off with because when I'm calling in general energies, I find that they are, for me, I can interpret them really well through this deck. So I'm just going to start there and then I'll walk you through where we're going from there. So the overall guidance on energy, the energetic space that is going to be the most beneficial for us during this Black Moon. That's what I'm calling in. Okay, so I'm going to get two supporting cards too, just to help specify that message. for that one card that wants to come out to balance out this message. It would seem that we are being called into something of an intense space. Okay, so when you're thinking about this black moon energy, setting your intentions for the future, we're talking about like the next 10 years. Everything from 2020 to 2030, think about that. So when you are setting yourself up to manifest, plan, to set your intentions for such a long period of time, this is basically setting intentions for the person that you want to be. In order to do that, you have got to look at the person that you have been and any part of you currently that does not line up with that. Okay, so once you have, like when you're going about setting up that space, the energetic space for this manifestation, the head card is lightning power. So lightning to me is, I love lightning. I grew up in a tropical climate where we had electric storms and they were gorgeous. Like, forget about fireworks. This is God's fireworks, except it's so much more. It's so much more. It is energy in the form of electricity being sent down from the heavens to earth. So what I'm getting from that is that is 100% what Spirit is calling for us to do. To be the path of that lightning. This energy is divine. This energy is earth. We are the channel. We are the path, and we are powerful when we show up in this way. In order to show up in this way, we're going to need to have our true selves come on out. And I don't mean poke your head out like a nervous, anxious little turtle. Is it okay for me to come out? I mean like a big blue whale who ain't afraid of nothing. Bursting out of this overwhelming mass of water that is the ocean and bursting out powerfully. This is energy that you want to focus on. How can you do this? What does this look like for you in your life? For 2020 to 2030, how can you show up as that? And then in our shadow work, we have volatility, volcano. So this is kind of almost like the same, not the same, but similar energy as lightning. If you see, it's not electric energy, but it is fire power. And rather than it coming down from the heavens, it's coming up from the very center of the earth. So it's feeling to me like not only grounding divine energy, but drawing up from within that powerful earth energy, the energy that we have as conscious, highly developed beings to be able to tap into energy, to draw it up. It's also coming through with the message of volatility. So for me, I would exercise caution around that when drawing up energy. What can we use? What tools can we use to balance that out? Let's find out. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Wildwood Tarot to clarify. So, power, lightning, channeling the divine power, and get some clarifiers. I want a couple more. I'm going to channel this. Interesting. just one more card for this divine channeling, divine grounding. Okay. So I had a few more cards come out than I was wanting, but we'll go through them anyway. So let me just see. Okay, so it's very much lining up with what I was saying about, we have the first card to come out, the World. So this is all about new beginnings. This is starting over. So this is a whole new beginning potentially for you. Or it can be the beginning of the exact same cycle. I don't know about you, but there's no way in hell that I'm going through anything I've already been through. I feel that my reward for getting through it is to not have to do it again. And I do actively work really, really hard on not repeating cycles and mistakes. And so at such a powerful time to be setting intentions and setting a tone for a new cycle, the awareness of that is invaluable. So once you have the awareness of that, we have the Page of Stones, also known as Page of Coins in the traditional tarot, with the reference of the links. So for me, that's coming through as being ready to just get out there, rely on your instincts, you know. So there's an element of trusting oneself there. There's an element of tapping into your instincts. Instincts are not, there's no like thought process. So if you're in a place of overthinking, this is not helpful. When you're overthinking, it's usually because you have thought patterns that have a momentum that are going really, really powerfully. So you're not actually getting a lot out of this thought process. You aren't really thinking. You're just allowing a stream of thoughts, a thought pattern that already exists to just continue to pick up momentum within your mind. This is not helpful at this time. What you want is to really tap into, because if you're creating something that doesn't exist, if you're stepping into a whole new version of yourself, creating a whole new life in existence, you don't want to be have your mind flooded with old patterns. That is not helpful. So be in touch with your instincts. Then we have the Green Man, which is also the Emperor in the traditional tarot. And this is about owning your power. And in the background, I don't know if you can see that, but there is a symbol carved into a stone here that shows up in another card in the deck called Empowerment. So I'm also seeing that symbol of empowerment coming through. The Emperor is very much practical, material world focused. So when we're grounding divine light, we have to be powerful in the material world. Otherwise, the buck stops with us. We get the divine energy in and we hold it here. Maybe it dissipates, maybe it heals us, maybe whatever. It's very limited within us. You want to take it out into the world. You want to manifest that in a tangible way. So tapping into that Emperor energy and tapping into a space of mastery with that, owning it, like bossing out, that kind of vibe. We have the Knight of Bows, which is the Knight of Wands in the traditional tarot, the reference of the fox. And this, to me, in this context, is coming through as no hesitation. There's no hesitation there. Like a fox, the way that they hunt, yes, they may like pause and stop to assess when's the right time to make their move, and they're known to be sneaky and like they're not just gonna go straight in like a lion, for example. But this process of hunting, there's no hesitation. They're about it. So the methodology in being sneaky is besides the point. They're about the hunt, and they're not going home empty-handed. So that's the energy I'm getting there. Then we have the Eight of Stones, or the Eight of Coins in traditional tarot, with the reference of skill. So this is about learning and developing your skills. So this is whatever you are wanting to set up. I feel like tapping into any information you've already been given, that you've already received and have not integrated, which we all do a lot. I do a lot. It's about integrating that information with your actions. So I would even suggest to begin within your Black Moon ceremony, if you're choosing to tap into the energy and channel it in that way. If you're not going to do a ceremony, just for the 31st, put a focus on what have you learned that you have not integrated into the way that you act. For example, if you've learned that meditation is very powerful, but you don't meditate every day, make a point to meditate, have a very in-depth meditation session planned for that day. And then the last card that came through is the Nine of Stones, or Nine of Coins, with the reference of tradition. So as you can see, this is kind of like a shaman here, and he has a rattle and a snake, and is in ceremony, deep ceremony. And so for me, this is about taking the time to do your self-care in the spiritual sense. So not forgetting that our spirit, our body is the temple, it is the house, it is the home of our spirit. So we must take care of our body from a spiritual intent. So if this body exists to house our spirit, how can we keep our home well for that spirit to sit comfortably within it? How can we allow our mind to be in alignment with our spirit and not in conflict with it? How can we allow our spirit to be active and present and extroverted? So this card is coming through for me as a spiritual practice that will support that synergy within those aspects of ourselves in order to reach our ultimate goal. Okay, so now I'm going to get some clarifiers for breach. So coming out of that breach, coming out of, and like the ocean too is very much connected with mystery. It's very dark down there. So as I've already mentioned, talking about shadow work, and then coming out so powerfully, and just so like, I'm a divine being with not a care in the world, see me. That's the vibe I'm getting out of this card. So I'm going to get some clarifiers for this breach. guidance for utilizing this energy. There's way too many cards, so I'm going to keep going. Guidance on channeling this energy. That's funny. I'm going to get a couple more. I mean, it's all very interesting, you guys. As much as what I thought. So basically what I'm getting so far in this reading is like there's not a lot of negative messages coming through or warnings, but it's coming through mainly as like guidance for moving forward, and a little bit this is something to be aware that's holding you back. So breach energy, first card to come out, Page of Vessels or Page of Cups, which is referenced here as the otter, which in the animal spirit deck is all about joy and play. Otters are very playful. I don't know if you've actually seen them in the zoo, but they're adorable and they're just like little kids. Just they're all over each other. They're moving and just having a good time always. And so the Page of Vessels or the Page of Cups is also about offering from a place of genuine feeling, authenticity, and clarity, offering clarity. So this is also about communication. So this to me is coming through with the breach card as offering your truth, offering the genuine essence of who you are to the world in a playful, joyful way. And the second card to come out is the Wheel. So this is talking about fortune, and if there are ways in which you have felt unfortunate in the present, in the past. So if we're talking about setting our intentions for the next decade, look back at your last decade. What would you like to not repeat there? If we're talking about the Wheel of Fortune and like the tables are turning, for me, for example, as a healer, I had a lot of work to get through, especially with like psychic and energy healing, around this feeling that it's not valued or accepted by a lot of people. So I haven't offered it as openly or as powerfully as I could have, because I just didn't feel that there was an appreciation for it. So what I would like to change, that Wheel of Fortune, the tables that I would like to change, which I'm currently actively doing, but I would love to have the universe get on that momentum style, is that the space that is held for psychics and healers, energy workers, light workers, to expand exponentially the value of what we do to be recognized. So just as an example of this is all about manifesting. So that's what I'm manifesting. Then we have the Sun card, which is actually my birth card in the tarot deck. So I'm born on the 19th of January. I'm a Capricornius, and you do happen to have the birthday book, which does get into the astrological influences down to each person's day of birth. You will find that this is me. Anyone who knows me can probably attest that they have definitely experienced this energy for me. And it's all about power that comes from enthusiasm. It comes from inspiration. It comes from the divine. It comes from source, God, what have you, whatever term works for you, but it's very much a card of not just empowerment, but shining your light. So, like, if you see this figure, it's just like, again, unashamed, bursting out, see me. There's no missing the sun. You're not going to be like, oh, is the sun out? I haven't noticed. Like, it's in your face. It's everywhere. And then something to be cautious of is this Three of Arrows, also known as the Three of Swords in the traditional tarot deck, which is referenced here as jealousy. So when we are thinking about stepping into a new version of ourselves, it is natural to look around at people we admire and respect, be it people in our lives or like people up on a platform. Oprah, for example, is definitely someone I've always held on that level of like inspiration. It is natural to want to bring in your concept of them, to start to create this visual of what you want to step into as yourself. What if you're going to go through a metamorphosis and you're the one who's driving this metamorphosis, you're the caterpillar saying, I don't know that I want to be a butterfly. I really like this dragonfly over here. Maybe I would like to evolve into a dragonfly, or maybe I would like to evolve into a firefly, or what have you. Just because you see how beautiful a firefly is and a dragonfly is and how great they are in their own ways, don't let that deter you from how great you are as a butterfly. So to honor yourself as just a earlier version of the you that you're really desiring to be, and not getting tricked into thinking that you've got to be like one of these people to be that version of yourself, to be a successful or powerful or whatever it is that you're looking to be. Go within to see what that looks like for you. Don't get caught up in what that looks like for other people. Volatility. So let's see. Let's get some clarifiers for the volatility. Too many. Okay, so this volatility card is definitely alluding to the shadow aspect of this work. So the first card to come out, we have the stag, which is known as strength in the traditional tarot. And I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory in connection with the explanation I already given you for this card in this reading. But if you look at this card, something that really stands out to me is two things. One, if you see this position, the way that this figure is standing with this leg out, you can imagine like on a rock or a log or something. I know for myself, I do stand that way. Much more often out in nature, and there is something very like stable about it. Like I feel like I'm standing strong, but that I could also like jump up on that rock and scatter off if I have to, or you know, I'm prepared. Like I'm kind of like steadfast, but at the same time ready to move. So that's the energy that's coming through there for me. And then he also has this shield. The thing about this shield, though, is it's not giving me the energy of protection in any way. This shield is actually more like a flag because it's just a leather piece that's bound by a weaving, a woven ring. So it's not gonna stop a knife or an arrow or anything like that. It's actually just representing what this character is about, which is actually the tree of life, the tree of wisdom. And there's so much strength in divine wisdom. There's so much strength in dedicating oneself to the higher power and to one's higher purpose. So finding that strength and that stability and that readiness to jump to it. Then we have the next card that came out is the pole star, also known as the star in traditional tarot. And in this card, you see a figure wandering deep into the woods, and above is this bright shining star and a bunch of like shooting stars around it. So what I get out of it is that a lot of times people would use stars as a map to get where they were trying to go back in the days before like we had compasses and things like that. So my doorbell's going off and I don't know if I should go answer the door. My housemate's gonna go answer it. I'm hoping she is. I'm just gonna wait. Anyway, so this is and the star is also about hope, dreams, wishes coming true. So let your dreams, let your deepest wishes guide you. Then we have the devil. Ooh. So the devil represents a couple of things that are coming through for me in this reading. One, fear. Fear is most associated with the devil. So this is your biggest block. If you can get past your fear, you can get to your next stage, to the next step, to the next stage, to the next level. So be willing to be strong and have faith when you're considering what fears are holding you back, and the fact that you have